So my name is Eikka Toppinen, and I'm the founder of Finnish cello metal band Apocalyptica. And we just released a new album, Apocalyptica Plays Metallica Volume 2, which is a great follow-up for the previous Metallica album we made, which was 28 years ago.
Not nothing like a bit of time between albums.
Yeah,
How are you, mate? Thanks
yeah
for joining us.
there's been 8 albums in between, so
Yeah, that's true.
we haven't been just doing nothing in between.
Did I hear you right before? Did you call it cello metal? Is that what the term is for it?
I don't know, but that's kind of
good.
like
Yeah, I like
yeah,
it.
but that has the two key elements, the cello and the metal.
Because I was looking through it before, I'm thinking, how would you describe this music? But cello metal is beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you say, Apocalyptica released your 10th studio album, Apocalyptica Plays Metallica, only a couple of weeks ago. So how's the early reception been for it?
It's been pretty great so far. What I've heard, and all the people have been talking about it. It's people seem to be very very happy and very surprised with the album. Like there's a lot of stuff that it's been positively surprising for people. So I think it's been really really good, really positive.
Good. And for those unfamiliar with Apocalyptica, which there can't be many left in the world by now because you're huge, but can you explain what it is you actually do with albums like this?
The band lineup is basically 3 cellos and drums. So with this kind of album, this was a concept album because we started as a classical cellist group of cellists playing Metallica because we loved metal music, and that was our first album and our starting point, kind of. And after that, we have done mainly original music and evolved the sound and the finding new ways to how to use our instruments, cellos, to play metal driven music. And now on this album, we took a retake on Metallica songs again with a new perspective. So these versions are instrumental versions of cool listing of Metallica tunes, and bringing a new perspective, a new edge to the original songs.
Yeah, very good. And you released as singles. You released one, The Call of Cthulhu, The Unforgiven 2, and The Four Horsemen. So was there a particular reason you chose those 4 songs? Like, were they more popular? Did you think that people would receive them better?
It was not about that. I think it was more about kind of the which things those songs introduce of Apocalyptica. Like Four Horsemen was the first single because it kind of it was a little bit combining many elements of the album, like playing cool riffs with cellos, like the Horseman riff is legendary.
Yeah.
But also that how we did the midsection there, that we made it super calm and beautiful and very cello-ish. So this contrast, that I think it's one of the key elements in Apocalyptica, this combining this raw energy with something beautiful but kind of melancholy in a way. So I think that was a great opener. Okay, this is what you can expect. So the singles are always something that you highlight, that what people can expect from the whole album. And then Unforgiven 2 was a choice because of it's a ballad, and we wanted to have that kind of side also, that okay, we have this world in the album as well. The third single was One. That's the most epic song on the album, and also shows that how because we have orchestra there, and then we have James Hetfield is speaking the lyrics, just sold the story in the song. So that kind of showed one end of it, and then having Cliff Burton playing bass, having the original bass track from Cliff Burton, the bass player of Metallica, on Call of Cthulhu. I think it was more like to kind of to highlight the different sides. It was not so much about that which songs are popular or famous or something, because with the instrumental songs we are experienced enough that we are not expecting any massive streams or sales for instrumental music, because that's not really happening. That's not how the market seems to work. So it was more about giving good insights and good taste of what the whole album is about.
Yeah, very good. And you mentioned the Call of Cthulhu and the solo or the bass line by Metallica's original bass player Cliff Burton, who passed in 1986. So that's pretty awesome, bro. How'd you come across that? Like, how did that work out?
Yeah, that's like all this kind of the Metallica's involvement is in this album. We didn't think about it when we started to work on the album, and all those ideas started to come up when we were working on the music. And for example, Call of Cthulhu, it's one of my favorite songs of all time from Metallica, because it has these colors, and the vibe of the song has something super powerful. And then some years ago, I realized that actually a lot of those sound elements in the song that I always loved and I was very fascinated about, I realized they're actually played by bass. That's on the bass line. And there came the idea that, oh, it would be so cool to get that bass line. And last spring, I then sent a message to Lars Ulrich, and I was like, okay, we're working on this album, and I would like to have a call with you because there are a couple of ideas that are just rising from the process. And I talked to Lars. I was like, okay, this is pretty crazy probably, but I was thinking that we are working on Call of Cthulhu, and this would be amazing if we could get that. And Lars was like, oh, this is such a great idea. I love that you always have this kind of out of the box ideas, but I have no idea how to make it work. Even he was like, he was like, oh, but that might be difficult. James needs to approve, and then Cliff Burton family needs to approve, and then we need to figure out what all kind of contractual, things there are, because the album was released in 1984, and record company of that time might have some rights on the actual recording and stuff. But then just things happened smooth. I went to Göteborg, to Sweden, to see Metallica last summer, and was hanging out there whole weekend. And what happened was really cool, that I was invited after first show. I was invited into this little dinner, kind of very casual dinner, and sitting there with my girlfriend, and then Rob Trujillo is coming in, and he's like, oh, hey, and just threw the one woman into our table, and we were sitting with that woman and talking, and came along super well. And maybe after 1 hour, 1.5 hours, we were talking about the album, and I said about this kind of idea, and then suddenly turned out that she was a stepsister of Cliff Burton, and the person and the person who is actually taking care of Cliff Burton's legacy. Wow. And she loved the idea. And then she was like, but you have to ask Lars. I was like, I already spoke with Lars, but then you have to ask Tony, the manager of Metallica. And everybody was so excited. And then I talked with everybody, and the manager was like, okay, I need to call a couple of lawyers, to figure out what's the legal side of it. And everything just worked out. It was crazy with all these things. I think the reason why these things worked out was that we were never going to Metallica that we want something of you. We were not asking that, okay, can we do this? Could you do this? Blah, blah, blah. It was more like I was presenting the ideas. I was like, we are excited. We have this and this idea. I think this would be great, if we could do this version this way, like, James talking and all that stuff. And they were like, wow, this is cool. Yeah. So I think that was the reason that Metallica got equally excited about what we were doing as we were.
Fantastic. And one thing I really love, bro, like, because I had to listen to the album before, and on like, you've got James Hetfield and Rob on one, but listen to the song, it takes till around the 2-minute mark until you can actually tell that it's one. Like, you're not playing on the fact like them in there, like you're letting your music do the talking before the band comes in. I think that's a beautiful thing. That's respectful, and it shows that you're confident in what you're doing, bro. I think that's a really, really nice way to do it.
Thank you. Happy to hear that. It's like my bandmate Pertu. He made the arrangement. It was his kind of vision, because we have recorded one. We released in 1998 album, on the second album. So we didn't want to do any retakes in general for this new album of the old songs that we have already recorded. But Pertu always felt that this is so grandiose, this song, it's so cinematic. And he is a big fan of all kind of superhero movies, Marvel stuff, and, like Lord of the Rings, whatever is big operas, all this bombastic, grandiose stuff. So he really wanted to make it the biggest possible and very cinematic. So we also
Hear that?
Our friend Finnish guy Jussi Tegelman, who is working in LA, been working at Skywalker Sound and doing sound for some Marvel movies and stuff. So he made all the sound world there, you know, like the war fields and the bombs and everything. So we went all in with that. Took a symphony orchestra, the whole symphony orchestra, real orchestra, to participate it. So it was not so much about, okay, 3 cellos are playing one. It was more like making it something bigger than life in a way, that because the story of one is unfortunately too relevant even today. Yeah. So we wanted also to kind of the lyrics are amazing on that song, and I think the story comes across a little bit differently when it's spoken than when it's sang. It gives a different dimension to it, and
definitely powerful.
And I think that was the whole point of this record, of every song, of every version we did, that we wanted to bring a new perspective, kind of to show Metallica's original music in a little bit new way, to bring new dimensions on, you know, different flavors, to highlight them, that they are not so obvious on the original ones, and so on.
This might be a difficult question for you to answer in a 20-minute interview, mate, but do your best. Like, what's the process of deconstructing songs like that are so heavy with instruments and then reconstructing them with cellos? Is it an easy process?
I think this was pretty challenging on this album, because we really didn't want to go the easy way, like just to do, like the first album when we just played Metallica songs as they are, using the instruments we can play, which was 4 cellos on that case. But this time we Apocalyptica is a different beast than it was 28 years ago, and we really wanted to dive into the deep of the core soul of every song, and to understand it and kind of digest it and to make it our own. So that left a lot of great songs we wanted to play out, because we just figured out that the Apocalyptica version, that's not turning out great. You know, it's okay, but it's not something really, oh wow, this is fantastic, you know. That we had to have this feeling for every version, that we felt that, okay, this is something really great. So, and we gave ourselves more freedom to modify the originals, you know, the chain structures, and to make them the focus was how it works as Apocalyptica version. So whatever needs to be done to make it a great Apocalyptica version of Metallica songs, that was the full approach on this one. So I think some arrangement came out easier, somewhere took a longer time. Let's Sung Anger took me kind of time to get hold of it. I just had the feeling, I just somehow intuitively knew that it's gonna be great, because it's a great song, and I really just needed some time to crack the code in a way, you know, that okay, what is, how it works the best for us. And I think the version turned out great in the final end. And To Live Is to Die, that's probably of all the versions most different to the original. Like, it's an epic, I don't know, I can't remember, is it 7, 8, 9 minutes long song, instrumental song by Metallica, and our version is barely 3.5 minutes or something like that. And it's fully acoustic. It's very beautiful, but it's still the same music. And I love the version because it really shows how great music Metallica does. That if you just take the core elements, like the few melodies and stuff out, and build around that, it creates something really, really unique and beautiful, and which people probably doesn't realize when they listen to the original, that how great the things actually are, because the tonality and the colors are different. So sometimes it was a challenging, because I think we have some kind of drafts, versions, arrangements of at least 20 songs, and only 9 ended up on the album. So there was a lot of trial and error in that sense, like trying and just yeah, it was a matter of which kind of things started to really get into the flow.
So if, without listening to the music, if someone said to you, I'm going to play Metallica with cellos, or I'm going to do heavy metal with cellos, you'd think they were stupid because it just doesn't sound like it should work. But there is a strange connection between heavy metal music and cellos, and then that sort of things in there. Like it's more of a connection than what a lot of metalheads would like to think.
Yeah, I think that it's the emotion. You know, metal music. To me, metal is more attitude than actually a music style in a way. And the attitude, I mean, by the attitude, I mean that there is this certain level of intensity, and that everything is done in the way that it should feel. You should really feel it, that it's capturing so much energy of different kinds, and it's very emotional. Metal music is really emotional. Even to outsiders, it could be like brain dead running on the mosh pit, but you know that's not the case. It's actually super emotional. It hits you deep, and cello as an instrument it's said that it's most like human voice, because of the range and the colors. So it's very deep and dimensional instrument. So combining that very powerful, passionate music with that kind of instrument, I think that creates a great dimension to metal music.
Well said. Now, I did a quick count up before speaking with you, and Metallica's got 11 albums, mate. So how many volumes of Apocalyptica Plays Metallica are you going to go up to?
That's hard to tell. We've been joking that, okay, whenever it's time for us to retire, if that ever happens, that maybe that's the time for the volume 3, you know, that we will play this kind of three old guys, like barely with shaking hands. We will play some full acoustic versions in the church next to our future graves. You know, some Metallica tunes. I don't know, but at the moment it's impossible to say what happens next.
Yeah.
My guess now it's like it's not going to be another Metallica album. That's not going to be the next thing. We never have a lack of ideas. We have like too much ideas, and it's impossible to know which ideas start to really excite us the most from 1 year from now or 2 years from now. So, but there are great tunes. There are a lot of, you know, Metallica is not running out of great songs. but like, I think to make another Metallica album that requires that we need to get excited about it. And the way how we got excited this time was that we took it as a challenge, that we need to reinvent the wheel. Like, you know, the first album was so revolutionary without us knowing it at that time, but it turned out to be so revolutionary. And then it's like, okay, if we do another Metallica album, it should be something totally different than being lame or being lame repetition of the previous one or something. And I think we dig pretty deep this time on this stuff, and I think now it's time to tour with it. And because releasing an album is one thing, but then going on tour with the album to play those songs and share the energy and the magic with the audience, that always starts to lead us into some direction, and that kind of starts to reveal us, okay, what can happen next.
Here's a question for you that I didn't have written down, but I've only just thought of it. Like, as fans of Metallica are a fickle bunch. Like, a lot of them complain about their music from the Black Album onwards and say it's not the same as what Metallica used to be. From your point of view, doing what you do with the music, did you find the songs after from Black onwards were easier to sort of to put the cello or to change around like you do? Like, were they different in that respect?
I think the older Metallica material is easier for us in the way that the songwriting structure has more elements. There are so many more elements. Like, you might have 5-6 great riffs in one song, and then the latter Metallica songwriting has been more simplified in a way, and like it's more rocking, if I could say, in a way that it's more straightforward, especially the recent albums. a couple of latest albums. There are a lot of great songs on those albums. It's not about the quality of songs, but the kind of the structure of the songs, the material inside the songs. On the new stuff, it's harder for us to make instrumental version, because when we take lyrics and James' performance out, and we play that kind of melodies with cello, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. So we should figure out something else there. And then if there is only 2-3 riffs in the song, it doesn't give us a lot of juice when we really don't want to do like a copy of what Metallica does. So that was kind of the challenge. I tried many of the newer songs, and then it turned out that, okay, but this same thing is happening already so much better with this other song, what we have already here. So we didn't really succeed on making great apocalyptica versions of those. There are songs like For Horsemen, for example. It's a good example in comparison, because the vocal melody there it's just fucking silly, you know, when it's played with cello. but it's not carrying any weight on the song in a way, because there are so many different parts in the song, and there's so long guitar solos and instrumental parts, and also that, like, there's so many other elements that kind of fills the space that without the lyrics, the vocal melody is pretty dull. And that was probably the challenge on the newer stuff, that if you kind of lose the vocals, then there was not enough happening, not enough elements for us to make a great instrumental, if you get what I mean. So
very cool, very cool. Now, I've got a question for you about another one of your songs that's got nothing to do with this album, if you don't mind me asking it. But I've always loved your song "I'm Not Jesus" with Corey Taylor. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard. Like, is that one of your is that one of your originals that he sung, or did he write his own lyrics for that?
No, it's actually, that song came to us. It's written by a guy called Johnny Andrews, and I've wrote many songs with Johnny also in the past, like Shadow Maker, End of Me. I think I've written like 5-6 songs with Johnny, but the I'm the Jesus is Johnny's original, and it came through to us through our new record label of that time, Martin Dodd. He had the song and he was like, "You guys should do it." And we actually refused, to be honest. We refused to do it for a long time. We were like, "Well, it's a great song, but
the content,
is it apocalyptica, you know?" And we were a little bit protective. No, we don't want to get any songs from outside, which I learned that it's a stupid stigma to have, not to record great songs if you have an opportunity, you know, like being so like, oh, I need to do everything myself, you know, kind of thing. So I'm happy that we gave up on that in the way that, okay, let's try it. And then it turned out to be like, oh, this is actually cool. This is really cool. It's cool apocalyptica thing. So and originally the idea was to get Marilyn Manson to sing it.
Okay.
And he was pretty much locked in, but then something happened in his life and he basically disappeared from everybody's radar, including his manager and everything. and then we had to figure out something else. And I had the demo. We had made demo of I'm the Jesus and also I Don't Care. And I went to London. I was in London and went to see Stone Sour and at Astoria, London. Met Corey after that, and I had like pressed on CD those 2 songs, and I was like, you know, take a listen, and if either of these songs resonates, then let's do it. And he picked up I'm Not Jesus.
Wow, it's a powerful song. Like, musically, it's great. Lyrically, it's great. It's just the whole thing about, like, but just to give you a bit of a tip now, like, that song got me into Apocalyptica. So you made it on.
Yeah.
There's other people around the world that happened. So at the end of the day, it was a bloody good choice, mate.
Oh yes, yeah, it was absolutely the right choice, because it's a great track, and to me it's an apocalyptica track, you know. So kind of this dilemma that who actually wrote all the details. We did the arrangement ourselves, and kind of that's what we do with Metallica songs on this new album. Is like we take them in and then we own it, so it comes out as it feels to us. It's like apocalyptica song.
That's the impression I got listening to it as well.
Yeah. And that's how we always wanted to do covers, like when we did Helden with Till Lindemann, the David Bowie song, that it felt very difficult for me. Our producer Jakob Hellner was kind of like pushing me the idea while we were recording the album that, I think this would be great with Till. This would be great. I'm like, yeah, it's a great song, but the color of the original, I was like, I don't hear any Apocalyptica in here. Until the magic happened, and I somehow was like, oh, I kind of owned it. That I have to own the song.
I can hear it coming
to feel it. It's ours. And that's why we do it, because it's our song. Even it's David Bowie's song, or even it's Metallica's song. That's I think that's how you should do it. That you need to own what you do. And that's what happened with I'm Not Jesus, that we really owned what we did with that song. And it turned out to be Apocalyptica song. Because in the final end, I think too many bands are too perfectionists in that sense, that it's not a real thing if they do it all by themselves. But you can have a great band, and in some early phases on your career, but your songwriting skills are not like on the top level yet.
Yeah.
So people, it's great. That's how I've done that. I got the possibility then to write together with great songwriters. Like my first co-writing was with fucking Max Martin. Like, it's insane. And as a result came I Don't Care song, the biggest hit of Apocalyptic of all times. It's still like streaming 2.5 million every month. Wow. It's insane.
Right.
And so it's really like it's 17 years old song, and it's streaming like crazy. That kind of proves that the song is really fantastic. It's completely Apocalyptica song. Even it was a step into a new territory, kind of unknown. And that's how I developed my songwriting skills. Was like I was writing with very experienced writers together. So it was like, I feel the songs are my songs, even they are written together with somebody, because there's enough my flavor and colors in there. And to be honest, that those songs have been the key elements of the success of Apocalyptica, exactly as you say, that you found Apocalyptica because of I'm Not Jesus.
Yeah.
And if we would just have been doing only instrumental, you would have probably never heard about us. Or maybe with the new album now, with the Metallica album. But, that's kind of the thing.
Like 10 years later.
Yeah. We shouldn't be too much so full of ourselves that thinking that we are the only ones that knows how to do things, Need to be open, but at the same time, shouldn't lose your own kind of core thing and on what you believe. So that's kind of the challenging task, I think, what has been always like, not to sell yourself out. It's not about selling yourself out that you let somebody in, and there's a big difference. That
should go on a t-shirt. Yeah. That's great. That's a great quote. Well done. Sure, I better let you go, mate, because you got other people waiting to talk to you, but it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I've really enjoyed that, and the album is fantastic, guys. So anyone out there who hasn't heard it, it's Apocalyptica Plays Metallica Volume 2, and it's not what you'd expect, but it's better than you would ever expect.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you, man.
Oh, brother, you take care, and hopefully you make it back out to Australia soon. We'll get to catch up and have a beer.
Okay. Yeah, I think I hope we will come. We start the tour now in Europe in the fall with 50 shows or so, and then it's North America in the spring. But I hope in the end of next year that we can get the dates for Australia together.